Hey guys, my name is Jeff and I'm here with Cho, who is the founder of Vintage, and this is the first fully modernized classic Bronco. Now, Cho, would you mind telling us a little bit about the company and what it took to build something like this?
Sure, yeah, so we started off in restoration, and restoration looks nice, but not reliable, doesn't drive that well, and no safety features. And so we evolved the company to Resto Mod, which was a better driving vehicle, more reliable, but still not quite like a new car. And what we found was our customers wanted a vintage design, but they wanted modern luxury, they wanted modern reliability, and they wanted modern safety. And that's what we did. So this vehicle has traction control, airbags, 6 airbags, anti-lock brakes, crumple zones, drives like a new car, reliable like a new car, but looks absolutely vintage.
Yeah, you have all of the vintage styling of a new Bronco, which is insane because this is built on the sort of underneath of a new Bronco, right?
Yes.
So how long did it take you guys to build something like this? Because obviously you're limited by the hard points and some of the other manufacturing stuff that already existed, but you somehow nailed the classic styling of it without it looking awkward.
Well, what we heard from our clients was that the only thing vintage they wanted about it was the way it looked. And so we kept that. We went out and engineered classic-inspired steel panels and stamped them in Detroit. And then we took a new Bronco chassis, which has all of the new car features and safety features and drivability, stripped it down the frame, and built our car on top of it. And so instead of making a classic car more modern, we made a modern car look classic.
Right, which is the right way to do it because, you know, a lot of people don't know this. If you've never driven a, $200,000 or $300,000 Bronco, it's hard to undo some of the things that are stuck to the older style Bronco, but instead of starting with a newer platform that is considerably better, you guys have bypassed all of that, but with the retro styling. So let's start at the front of the truck and talk about some of the changes that have happened here, right? So it looks just like a Bronco, but now what's different here?
Yeah, so the key here is the chassis, right? So underneath you have a 100.4-inch wheelbase instead of 92. So it's going to track a lot better than a classic Bronco. It doesn't have a narrow track width or a short wheelbase, and instead of solid front axles, it has independent front suspension, which is what everyone's used to. So unless you're going to go off-road this, which 99% of people don't, the independent front suspension is going to give you a much more modern steering feel. When you add the longer wheelbase to it, it really drives just like a modern car. In addition to that, we also upgraded and worked with Fox Factory on the suspension, which is a race coilover series. And so the ride handling, the quality is on par with what you'd expect of a car of this price point.
Yeah, which is fantastic because the normal Broncos don't come with that type of suspension, right? Obviously, you'd have to get at least the Raptor or the Braptor versions of this to even come close to that type of suspension. Now, it looks like you've got a bit of a skid plate and stuff under here as well, right? So that guards some of the tow hooks and some things that are available for it. Yeah,
we wanted to make the vehicle functional too, so it isn't just a pretty looking car. A lot of engineering went into it to not only maintain the safety features, but still give you a car that you could, drive every day if you wanted to. And all of the lighting was converted to LED headlights, LED lighting all around. And the panels on the body are actually real steel. So
it's going to last.
Right. But no rust. And what new tooling allows you to do is to get all of the gaps perfect and all the body lines perfect, which back in the 60s, they were notorious for not being straight. So we're pretty obsessive over the little details.
Yeah, the fitment is just beautiful on this. The other thing I have to bring up is obviously the colors. So customization. Obviously, this is a pink Bronco we are looking at, and there's all sorts of other changes in here. What can people expect as far as what can they customize, build out with your Broncos?
Yeah, we have a configurator online that allows you to configure every aspect of the vehicle inside and out. We offer it in 30 colors, over 30 colors, and then 12 interior colors, and then we can do custom too, pretty much anything you can imagine. But what's nice is that the Bronco is one of the few cars that can pull off almost any color and do it well. And so it could be pink or it could be a classic color like a Brittany blue or boxwood green, and you have options of chrome trim, black trim, depending on how classic or modern you want it to feel.
Very cool. And then talk to me about some of these badges and stuff you have, because these are incredibly crisp badges that you have on the front here.
Yeah, we really spared no expense when it came to the materials and the quality. And so every badge on here is custom billet aluminum out of a solid block. And so the emblems in the front, the side, the rear, all of the parts on the outside of the vehicle, like the hardware, door handles, all those are billet aluminum.
Wow, that is That is nice stuff. So as we start moving down the side here, can you talk to me about some of the wheels? And obviously there are some massive brake kits underneath there as well.
Yeah, so we had 17-inch forged aluminum wheels made for us for this application, and getting the offset and the stance perfect is very, very key, right, for the way it looks. And so it's a 17-inch wheel. It's super lightweight, about 20 pounds. And we went with BF Goodrich all-terrain KO2s for the tires. And then it's running the Fox Factory Race Series coilover suspension.
Yeah, having the external reservoir on there is huge. I mean, you know, you wouldn't expect it, right? And you step in, you see everything here that's purpose-built to make a better Bronco, in other words.
Sure. And even though people generally don't off-road it, it can be off-roaded. It has four-wheel drive, shift on the fly. And so it's not just all show, it can go as well.
Right.
But I would say most people probably keep it on the pavement. If you wanted to go off-road, it's absolutely able to.
Yeah, that's nice to have a blend of both. Some are obviously purpose-built to stay on-road, but it's nice to see some of the differences here. Now, as we move into the center of the truck, obviously these hinges have been changed as well, right?
Yes. Yeah, so the idea was, how do we keep it as vintage and true to the original as possible? So we engineered custom door hinges to actually operate the door just like it did in the 60s, and then had custom billet aluminum door handles made inspired by the classic design. And then when you open the door, you've got options like the power steps.
I just can't believe how smooth that is.
Yeah.
Like you see some of the older Broncos, right, where you open it and maybe it's like a little bit delayed or kind of creaks a little bit as it comes out, but that is incredibly smooth.
Yeah, the expectation of the fit and finish is that not only is it brand new, it's perfect. And you know, for a vehicle of this price point, starting at $250,000, the expectation is perfection inside and out, cosmetically, mechanically, everything.
Wow. And then going on to the topic of some of the other metal components that are either billet made and everything like that, this goes the same case for this gas cap as well, right? Which is totally changed from the modern Broncos.
Yeah, you got it. Put it in your hand and feel it.
Oh my. Wow. That is a nice piece. I can't believe you managed to make it work with the factory fuel filler as well.
So not only is it a custom billet on the cap, but we rerouted the original fuel filler neck to give you that vintage look. And it would have been very easy to take shortcuts to say, well, we'll just leave that part, we'll leave that part. We really left nothing other than the key safety features that make it a safe driving vehicle, and everything else we modified or upgraded so that you either had the modern luxury or you had that classic look to it. So little details like that make a big difference.
Okay, so I guess the next thing that I would like to show off would probably be the interior, right? So if we go ahead and open up the door here and just take a look, what do we actually have on the inside here?
Yes, so starting with the door here, this is a vintage window crank, and the whole design philosophy was vintage design, modern luxury. So when you press on this, instead of rolling it, it actually operates.
No manual windows here, but you have the aesthetic for it.
You got it, you got it. And then every surface area of the inside is covered either in leather or Alcantara.
Very nice.
And then anything that was typically plastic, even in a G-Wagon or a Lamborghini Urus, you would find would be billet aluminum. So these little hand adjustments here are all custom billet aluminum.
So no frustrating plastic parts that just either chip or break because of something foolish that happened in the process. So you've even got these nice rubber mats in there, full leather interior. You got quilted stitching on this one, right? With it looks like pink deviated stitching on everything.
Yep, and on this one we partner with Mansory, so they're known for exceptional meticulous detail and quality, and every little thread is in place. And it's all those details that matter. On the inside too, with this instrument cluster, we drew inspiration from the 1960s cluster. And you can see here it's got the original font, the original style, even down to the turn signals here. Instead of your green arrows, you've got the 1966 style blinker. But it's blended in with modern technology, so you can have that look, but you know, people are dependent on CarPlay and navigation and Android Auto, so to be able to have both that and the modern creature comforts really is the perfect blend of vintage and modern. And you know, I think it's you know, for some people they can't live without that technology, so you can have both.
Yeah, I mean that's a big deal. You know, we often joke that all you need is kind of CarPlay and air conditioning, right? But in this vehicle you have all of that stuff, and I love that you guys put in the extra effort to go with the gauge cluster and make that feel more retro, right? So it's not just the exterior that feels retro, but even inside you feel like you're driving a special vehicle, which is a nice touch because you didn't have to do that. Even the replacement of the plastic pieces of billet, but you guys went the extra mile, and that's definitely shown, I think, in the build quality of these.
You got it.
So the other thing we should show is probably what you actually have in the back section too, right? Where we've got these awesome speakers hanging out.
Sure. Yeah, we went with Focal for the audio. So it's a 12 speaker Focal audio sound system, and it has a 10-inch JL sub hidden in the side. And you know, when you're driving a Bronco with the top down on a nice sunny day, you got to have music. So the quality of that sound system is extremely high and very fitting for a car like this.
Yeah, I love the way you managed to blend it in there as well. So we've got seating for 4, and then as we come around to the back, right, you got some cool features that are actually integrated with the tailgate, right?
Sure.
So what exactly do we have here?
Yeah, so a big detail of the original is the tailgate, right? And so the way we engineered it, instead of having it swing out, is to drop down and do it in a soft open manner.
Wow.
And which reveals the teakwood, which is a nice option. And this teakwood tailgate, you can manage 500 pounds of you know, people just sitting here hanging out. And then it even has a hidden cooler back here as well for your champagne, charcuterie, you know, whatever it is you're going to get into. So it's a nice touch, and you know, again, it's luxury, it's vintage, but you got that modern feel to it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love how just everything's still integrated, right? I can actually see the 12-volt outlet ports here on the side as well, so you get access to all of that while you're hanging out here in the back. And just the nice subtle things, you know, being able to drop the tailgate down and not worry about that too much is an incredibly nice feature. But you even have the cameras in the back here as well, right?
Sure.
So all that modern amenities. If you're worried about driving a big vehicle or a Bronco, you guys have the modern backup cameras, so we're still sticking with that modern amenities, the modern themes and everything.
We try our best to hide that technology, so the clients, they want the technology,
right?
And it's how we go about integrating into the vehicle in a seamless blending of the two that you can't really even tell it's there. So it's very subtle. Backup camera, parking sensor, so when you put it in reverse, you can you know, hear you know, how close you are in proximity. So those are the little things that are there. But we hide them as clean as possible.
Yeah, you guys did a great job. Just the general presentation, the amount of people that have actually stopped by while we've been setting up the film and while we've just been hanging out here on the beach in Monterey. I mean, this is kind of the perfect backdrop, right? This is exactly what you can do with this vehicle. It's the perfect vehicle to be here out of Monterey. Now, there is one more thing we have to talk about that I'm sure a lot of people are waiting for, and that is, of course, the powertrain, right? So what do we have under the hood of this retro Bronco?
So we took the twin turbo V6, which is the higher of the engine options from Ford.
Okay.
And the nice thing about that is Ford put a lot of time and resources into the R&D to create a reliable you know, engine and drivetrain. So what we did was we partnered with Roush on the performance package, and so we did a intake, an exhaust, and then a Ford Performance Tune on this, which gives you about 360 horsepower.
Oh, wow.
About 415 foot-pounds of torque. And the great thing is, you don't want to think about your engine when you're driving this, right? You know it's new, you know it's reliable, you know it's under warranty, and you've got that extra sound and pep from the Roush performance package. And for our customers who don't wrench on their cars and don't want to fix their cars or have any desire to, you can just drive it. You could get in this thing and drive it every day in the rain if you wanted to, cross country on a road trip, and you wouldn't think twice.
Yeah, that is incredible. And you know, obviously, of all people to partner with Roush, who has a long history with modifying Fords, they're definitely the right people. They've got a great relationship with them. And I love the way you've cleaned everything up here. Obviously, there's even tons of details in here, lots of various plaques, which are also in the interior, right? But even some of the fastener covers and things that you have in here are definitely going that extra mile. Just everywhere you look at this, there's lots of extra details that I think really separates this out from other vehicles.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the key is, you know, we obsessed over every little detail, even if the customers wouldn't even see it, you know, top to bottom, inside out. So these little things here, these little fasteners down to the engine bay cover, it's all the little details that bring it together, and you don't actually even see it or think about it. It's there, and that's what gives you that art, right? To us, this is a form of art, but it's on wheels.
Oh, absolutely, it is. Yeah, it is stunning. I think the amount of people that, again, just stop to look at this thing is incredible. Would you mind talking a little bit about the app and the functionality and what that does for the truck?
Sure. Well, you can't have a fully modernized classic without a mobile app. So, you know, I came from the app space, built 2 top-hundred apps in the App Store, and it's one of those modern conveniences where if you're inside the house and you want to start the car, roll down the windows, know how much gas you have left, and then the telematics, right? Air pressure, knowing how far you are from an oil change, all that's in the app as well. And so having that tied to your classic car, plus we actually have all of your custom options displayed on the vehicle. So if you have a Brittany blue, boxwood green, pink Bronco with a white interior, that's what it's going to look like on the app, and you can see it.
Oh, very nice. You know, that's stuff that you don't even necessarily get from the manufacturers these days, right? Most of the time it's a generic model that you get on the screen, not necessarily your spec of what you order.
Sure. We partner with a best-in-class company on it, Roush.io, that actually integrated key sharing into the app. So if I want to let you borrow the car, and I'm in Atlanta and you're in Scottsdale, I can send you a digital key that's secured by blockchain, and I can even limit it to a certain amount of time and turn it on and off whenever I want. And so you can say, hey Joe, I'm in town, can I borrow the car? I can send you a key digitally, you can unlock it, start it, and use it all secure with blockchain, and then when it's over, turn it off.
Wow, that is incredible. That exhaust is quite nice, just immediately.
You can put it in sport mode too if you want to here. I'll let you drive it normal first.
Oh man. I mean, it doesn't take much to realize the minimal body roll already is night and day difference as opposed to anything you'd get from a classic first gen Bronco.
Yeah. Yeah, the suspension makes a big difference going with Fox.
Yeah, the other thing is, you know, when you get into a bigger SUV or truck, oftentimes, you know, it feels big to drive, but the way that the steering's done in this, it doesn't feel like a lot to handle at all.
The other big difference is that there's a ton of sound dampening everywhere. Every square inch of the tub, doors, panels, everywhere has sound dampening. And then when you add the amount of leather and Alcantara that's on here, and then you add steel body panels, it gives you this like insulation sound dampening effect that makes it every bit on par with a $250,000 car.
I just can't get enough of the gauge cluster.
Yeah.
As we mentioned earlier, you know, the traditional Broncos having it there on the left side, and you guys put it in, I would say, a better spot, because really in the old Broncos it's where your knee goes.
Right.
So this is much easier to see, but you still get the same feel.
The old speedometer was also very not accurate. So hard to tell how fast you're actually going, hard to tell how much gas you actually have.
Yeah, and, especially if you change the wheels and tires, right? Then everything's thrown off.
Right.
So what you guys done is you've really dialed it in and perfected what is the modern classic amenities in the classic retro styling.
You know, I'm also surprised by how many people can't live without Apple CarPlay or Android Auto.
Yeah.
Like we live in a time where we're so dependent on it, and almost every car you get in now has it. And so to not have it, it kind of changes things. And for people who are direction challenged, you know, having navigation and then not having navigation, it's kind of a big hurdle. So nice to have both.
Yeah, especially because you guys put it in the modern vehicle, so it's actually an easy to see place too. It's not hidden or underneath the dash in some weird setup. Wow. Yeah, well, I mean, you guys brought a couple out here, right? So if you want to just leave one with us for the rest of the weekend, you just let me know.
Yeah, there you go. You drive that pink one around, boy. But the kind of attention you attract when you drive a Bronco is very different. You know, I've had over 50 cars since I was 21. I've had Ferrari, Lamborghini, Aston Martin, AMG. But when you drive a Bronco, it says something about you that you have taste, right?
Yeah.
And you know, some people, they have their opinions about certain cars, but the Bronco is like one of those universally respected vehicles that's just so timeless that you can be a man, woman, child, young, old, foreign, domestic. You drive one of those and people just admire it, and they don't know if it's a $20,000 car or a $200,000 car. It kind of flies under the radar. And it can be as loud or as, you know, quiet as you want it to be in terms of, you know, how much you stand out, right? Depending on your colors, your trim. You can do that bright pink one, or you can go with the classic boxwood green with chrome trim. This one is kind of a, you know, modern and vintage in that it's a custom amethyst black McLaren paint color with all black trim. So
very nice.
The Bronco has a different flavor depending on what you spec it with for the colors. And the biggest decision our clients make is definitely the color combination. So 30 different exterior colors, 12 different interior colors. It's usually play marriage counselor when you have a husband and wife kind of debating on what colors to get. It's usually the hardest choice for them. But
of course,
it's a fun thing where you can tailor it to your own liking.
Yeah, and obviously, the one that we're currently in kind of has a bit more of a modern look, right? You've kind of got the blacked out or murdered out, as the kids say, look to it, which is pretty sharp if you wanted to change the appearance of it. But I love the Wimbledon white that you guys have on them. Yeah. It just does a good job of putting the retro in. The fact that somebody would walk up to this and ask, what year is it, as opposed to inquiring about the modern, it's one of those things that it's a Bronco. You instantly recognize it. And then when you walk up, that's when you notice the details, right? You notice all of the changes. The fact that the Fox suspension and the external reservoirs are visible once you start to look around it. You see modern disc brakes on all four corners. It's quite impressive. And I mean, getting behind the wheel of this is incredible. It's so smooth. I like that the steering doesn't feel over boosted either. The steering wheel's comfortable, seats are comfortable, smells like leather while you drive it.
Yeah, the steering is a big deal because it gives you that's your connection to the road.
Yeah.
And in the traditional restorations and resto mods, the steering was always looser than a modern car. And that might be okay at like 25 miles an hour, putting around in like a neighborhood.
Right.
But if you're gonna go on the freeway, let alone a road trip, you have to feel confident when you're steering the car. And so not only do you have power steering with this, you have electric steering, which is what people are used to. And again, it's kind of because we're so conditioned by modern day engineering and reliability and design, it's hard to go back in the time. And so the steering part was a big upgrade for us when we moved to the new chassis.
Yeah, which oftentimes, modern E-Pass is more overboosted than not. But I don't think that's the case here, but it's still so approachable. Like the ease of driving this, as I mentioned earlier, most people are, shy of bigger vehicles for that reason, but I don't see that being a problem here. And the body roll isn't scary like old vehicles either.
Sure.
Brakes are easy to use. So I guess the next thing that I have to ask you is, of course, these are going to be very popular vehicles, right? You've already sold a few, but what's the best way if somebody's interested in purchasing one of these, speccing one out, having some conversations with you about what they can do? What's the best way to reach out to you guys?
Yeah, so they can go to our website, which is vintagebroncos.co, and then we're big on social media as well. So Vintage Broncos on Instagram, TikTok. There is a wait list, as you can imagine, to get one.
Of course.
But the way we build it, with the quality we build it in, we're also launching a dealer network as well. And so 2025, you'll see these in the showrooms of Lamborghini, McLaren, Bugatti, Aston Martin dealerships as well.
So it's going to be even easier to get your hands on one of these if you want one.
Yep. And our factory is based in Atlanta.
Okay.
And so if anyone wanted to come out and tour the factory, test drive and see and touch and feel it, we would welcome that as well.
Okay, fantastic. Well, there you have it, guys. That is a look at the vintage modern classic Bronco, which is the first fully modernized, essentially classic Bronco. You really can't buy them like this, except from you guys, right? So an incredible vehicle. I just want to say thank you very much for your time, Joe. I really appreciate it. This is a fantastic vehicle that, of course, is cruising around here in Monterey, getting tons of attention, right?
Appreciate it.
So with that, that is the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed it and could leave a thumbs up, we'd really appreciate it. And consider commenting down below on how awesome this Bronco is and what your favorite feature was. And of course, feel free to get subscribed for more content like this in the future. Thank you so much for watching.